Welcome to all you Mad Monday listeners. This is producer Adam here, who has just come back from a long break and extremely jaded. And I am joined, very luckily, by Dai Henwood, who I am expecting to do a lot of heavy lifting. I hope those shoulders are prepped and ready to go. Dai, how you going?
I'm going good, Adam, and I love hearing your dulcet tones on the potty, to be honest. We've got the real deal happening. You've been away on a lovely sojourn around the Northern Hemisphere. I myself have been to the bright lights of Oakuni and then over for 5 days in sunny Manly. I left the land of the long rain cloud and I got some sunshine, and myself and my boy Charlie went to the grand final.
And yeah, no, that must have been crazy. As the grand final was happening, I was in transit and I could not get the app to work. My VPN wasn't working. I was just stranded watching updates. How was it for the two of you over there, mate?
Oh, look, so even though it wasn't a Warriors game, this goes down as one of the greatest games of rugby league I have watched. Basically, the grand finals I've been to are the 2011 grand final, Warriors Manly, 2015 Broncos Cowboys, which I went with the wonderful Ben Hurley, and before this, that was the game where the Cowboys took it away by 1 point right at the end. And then I went to Melbourne Cowboys 2017, which Melbourne just blew out. But this grand final, wow, it had everything. It was so tight to begin with, back and forth. Let's go back a bit. My son and I drove there from Manly. Full credit to the Sydney Olympic Park. We paid $30, got an easy park at the ground, wandered to the match. So many Warriors fans coming up, giving us hugs, fans that weren't Warriors fans just cheering up the Wars because we were, my son had a special Warriors bucket hat made. We were in our Warriors jerseys.
Perfect.
The love for the Warriors was amazing. They're everyone's second team. My son was killing with the joke, we can't lose this one, so we're going to enjoy the match. And we sat down, we got our drinks, we got a bit of kai, and we're sitting down watching the game. We're very high in the stadium on halfway. We're surrounded by an equal mix of Broncos and Penrith fans, and the game just started hard, back and forth, an early try to Mitch Kenny off a bizarre little Adam Reynolds drop out that got knocked back. He dove on the ball and scored. And then just before halftime, Thomas Flegler scored, and it was all Brisbane, right? Brisbane. At 24-8, the Penrith fans next to us left.
That is such a balls up.
You could see them getting grumpier and grumpier, and no one was giving them grief or anything. Everyone was just sort of having a good time. And then they left, 20 minutes to go, this just massive comeback on the shoulders of Nathan Cleary, and we just couldn't believe it. Like, my son was sort of cheering for Brisbane a bit, even though he's not a big Reece Walsh fan. And I was cheering for Penrith mainly because Brisbane did us a number on us the week before. So I thought, let's go for the team going for the three-peat. And Nathan Cleary just became a magician. Everything he touched turned to gold. And the atmosphere in the stadium was crazy. We even stayed around for the presentations afterwards and everything. It was such a good game to be at. There was such a good vibe about the Warriors from all the other fans. It was amazing, Adam.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I think when I was watching the replay back, one of the biggest takeaways I had is that game started with the most venom I've seen in a game in so long. I even think how competitive it was at the start looked better and was more exciting than watching some of the Origin games that we've been watching recently. A few of those early hit-ups where they are just trying to take each other's heads off. Big credits to the referee. Let the game play out in that as well. And after talking to a few people around the office on the Monday, I think the biggest takeaway from everyone is that, the Warriors lost, whatever, they win in the final, but it was such the final that everyone wanted to see. Because in a final, either way, you just don't want to watch a blowout, right? You want a big moment from someone, or you just want to see something exciting. And I don't think they could have served up, no matter who won this game, for a game to turn around that much from looking like it's over. Like in the first half, it looked like the bloody Ezra Mam show. He was having the game of his life, and then all of a sudden, champion players do championship things, man. And it was everything you'd want as a viewer, eh?
Look, I feel for Ezra Mam scoring a hat trick in a grand final and not getting the Clive Churchill Medal Player of the Match and not winning the game. I just feel for him. And you're so right. They were the two best teams in this competition. The venom was amazing. I was thinking the same thing about Origin. Origin felt not soft, but it felt a bit closer to a club game this year. And this just was out of the gate, hard out. I love James Fisher-Harris up against Payne Haas. There were so many juicy matchups. And the one thing we were chatting about while we're there is, even if the Warriors had jagged a win against Brisbane, this season was about the Warriors coming right. This season was about us becoming a top 8 side. I feel that if we got to the grand final, it might have been a step too far, and I just think we might have been blown out of the water a bit by Penrith. So this game was just an absolute joy to watch. It's going to go down in the annals of history. And Brisbane, the thing is, they weren't robbed. They weren't dudded. Nathan Cleary just stood up. And when he jumped in and sort of jagged on the inside and scored under the sticks and got it 24-all with a kick to come, the crowd were fizzing. Broncos fans in front of us were off their seats with their heads in their hands. They couldn't believe it. I mean, you can't let a 24-8 scoreline slip in a grand final with 20 minutes to go. Penrith proved they're a huge side. All their players stood up. For me, I've come full circle on Luai.
Stop it.
Luai bought a guy, forget his name, he's a young kid, right? His parents, his mum died in a helicopter accident that he was in, and he lost a limb, and his dad said he hadn't been able to speak hardly and stuff. And Luai took him into the changing room after the game, let him wear his ring and everything, and it changed this boy's life. It's weird what Luai does off the field is amazing. Then he plays the villain on the field. It's so bizarre to watch. But I love his behaviour. I love the behaviour of how Penrith have acted.
I think
Brisbane have got to feel dudded, man. This was really their chance to win a grand final, and they massively choked in that last 20 minutes.
Yeah, the big takeaway from me is that I think they just looked out on their feet at the end. They were so in the game for 60, 70 minutes. And then when Cleary walked over for that try, basically, he's gone around 3 people from 5 meters out, and all of them just looked like they had nothing to even get near him to touch him in order to even prevent the try. As he's walked over the line, I've seen, it would have been the 13, he's just, Carrigan, it's looking at him being like, oh, I just can't do anything there, It was just two Goliaths going at it. I do have one question for you. Are you a fan of the coach being on breakfast television the next day? Cleary, absolutely steamed. I don't know if you saw it. And they're asking him how he's gone, and he's looking everywhere but at the camera. And did you see any of this?
I watched that whole interview plus the million times it's been chopped up on social. He was steamed, bro.
Yeah.
I love it. Say off, you full credit to his mum. If I'd married a different woman, he'd be a shit rugby player. What got me about that is he's not giving much credit to the fact that he probably gave Ivan Cleary, he gave him quite a few good rugby league genes himself. He was, they love that over there.
Yeah.
And You'd never see Ian Foster doing that if we won the Rugby World Cup.
No, but it was just such a humorous thing because you can just see him. The worst part is I think they have the time watermarked down the bottom of like what it is standard time in Australia at that time, and he's just got a drink in his hand. It was like the most. It's almost like an icon status. He's just got He's got 3 trophies now. He's just had the night of his life. Like you couldn't imagine what it must be like to almost think you've lost, to celebrate like an absolute champion, right? Like it would just be unreal.
Oh, the vibe in that stadium at 24-8 to the Broncos was. I thought it was going to become a 40-point scoreline.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to blow out. Ivan Cleary said himself he thought it was over, and they just stayed in that game. And you made a great point about the refs. The ref just stayed out of that game, and that was so good to see. Poor Reece Walsh had a shocker. His goal line defence and his defensive positional play was really lacking, and it was actually a great example to me of why Chance is the fullback we need.
Yeah.
Sure, Reece is an amazing attacking footballer. He'll work on his defence. He will go down as one of the greats. But the player we need is Chance Nickel-Klokstad. You don't see Reece Walsh doing those hard runs out of his own end that Chance does. Chance is positionally, defensively amazing. And Reece just wasn't given any space to shine. He wasn't given Penrith shut down their offloads. All the offloads they were doing were panic offloads. They didn't have the time to offload that they had against the Warriors the previous week.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, when you win like that, the party is almost crazier, I think. And full credit to Ivan. They deserve it. They deserve it.
I think you have a good point there as well, though, because like it makes me wonder if Reece is the fullback that the Broncos need. Because, say, as an example, they had Chance, at least they would have had a lot better defence. He still makes the same runs. It's it's almost like you have half a player at times with Reece, and
because he should have stopped Stephen Crichton's try
100%
in the 67th minute. He just ran at him, and he does. I mentioned it earlier in the year. He does that weird koala tackle where he sort of jumps and tries to clip on to the guy, whereas he should have pushed Stephen Crichton into touch on that try. But yeah, it felt he sort of got nullified. He had a couple of really good runs, but then Ezra Mam's doing that as well. And how's Nathan Cleary playing with that? What is it, MCL or ACL injury that he got in the 10th minute?
Yeah, because I think as well Reynolds was getting looked at as well because they thought he did his groin or they thought he injured himself as well. Like imagine how much of a different game if both the starting playmakers were down. But there was moments in that first part as well where Ezra Mam went through for the first and second. Cleary missed the tackles, and to think that Cleary had enough mental fortitude and strength just to hang in the game long enough. Surely he's been given the magic sponge with the magic water when he went in the half time. There's probably some painkillers just to make sure that he forgot about his knee. But to think that, he hurt himself in the 10th minute and he was still the one to steer the ship home, be there in the big moments, and even just after being made a fool of, there was nothing stopping him from winning the game. It puts him right up there, And I've seen lots of people talk about it already. It's like he's still a middle-aged footballer, he's not overly young now, but he still has a lot to go.
He's 25.
Yeah.
He's still got another 10 years.
Yeah, which is amazing.
And he's won 3 championship rings. You mentioned Adam Reynolds. So the Broncos bought Adam Reynolds for that last 20 minutes in that game.
Yeah.
And he did not deliver. You talk about Cleary scoring the try. What about Cleary having the nous to put his foot out off the dropout? Adam Reynolds just made a couple of errors in that last 20 minutes. And you buy a player of Adam Reynolds' skill to deliver and guide a team home when they have a 24-8
Yes.
lead. So as much as Adam Reynolds was a crucial part in them reaching the grand final, was he the best signing during the grand final? No, I don't think he was.
Nah, but like at the same time, they don't make the final without him, because there was a lot of part of this year where they haven't looked full strength, but he's just done enough. So it's probably more of a highlight that they're just like, Ezra Mam stepping up in the final might give him the confidence to be a bit more of a vocal point next year, which is probably what they could use, and then a bit more maturity out of Reece Walsh or someone like that as well, because they're still quite a young side. Overall, I think their age dramatically increases just by Reynolds himself in the team as an average. But you get that, right?
Oh, completely. And by all accounts, I was just reading that they're going to successfully re-sign Ezra Mam, who I've always liked the way he played this year, but wow, it's those players that step up in the big game environment that's when you know someone's there to stay. And Ezra Mam showed that he is one of, if not the form 5'8" in the game at the moment. He usurps Munster for mine. He just massively delivered. And off the topic of this game, I feel that Sean Johnson was dudded at the Dally M.
Oh, don't get me started. I was in a group chat with a bunch of friends and they were calling it early. They were just like, I just feel something fishy's going on here. He's going to get robbed. And what did he miss out by? Like a point?
1 point, 56 to 55. They gave, I think it was Ponga got 6 points in his last game or something that pushed him up from 50 to 56. So it was SJ deserved it.
Because didn't he get the player of the year from the players? Was it like a player association one that he just got awarded last week? So I guess at least there is that respect around the ground saying like, nah, at the end of the day, they can do what they want, but you are the man. I think we need to really take notice of something that really took my eye on the night was AFB's shirt and his get up for the night. Did you get to see that? Do you get to see how fly that man looked?
Look, there are very few people that can pull that shirt off, and Hayden Fanua-Blake is one of them. He looked like he was in that show Narcos for a bit there. He had a bit of a South American cocaine dealer vibe about him. Like a silk black shirt with gold detailing.
It was Gucci as well, eh?
Yeah, he looked absolutely phenomenal. Dallin Watene-Zelezniak looked absolutely phenomenal. How awesome was it just seeing the Warriors being deservedly represented at the Dally M's? What a change from 2021. From 2022, sorry.
Especially to see that Webby got Coach of the Year and stuff, and I've seen heaps of pundits just being like, well, he's not the best coach, he hasn't made the finals, but it was a touch of class from the man at the end as well, because I saw the end of his speech and all he could do was congratulate the two on being amazing coaches and good luck for the final. You got amazing teams. You're sitting there in front of your peers, you voted the best, and you still got that absolute mark of class to give credit where credit's due. And it was a nice thing because I had a feeling too he was going to get robbed and we were going to go 0-2 instead of 1-2 at the awards in that weekend as well. You get those feelings from the years of terrible. I don't want to say this, from calls that didn't seem very favourable for the Warriors, and we find, things, our team's getting better, those things are kind of working themselves out, and these unfavourable calls are in award events, but hey, it was still nice to see them there. There was a lot of limelight on them, and they looked like they had a time and a half, right?
Oh, and they massively deserved that, and they deserved a big man Monday, and it's awesome that we saw no stories come out of the Warriors Mad Monday.
Yeah, but in saying that, though, there is a story, which, sorry to cut you off, the story about how our latest signing has now got in trouble for a DIC charge, and Roger Tuivasa-Sheck last week in the court documents says that he was at Sky City. His car was parked there. He drove home. He, in the morning, quite early, got back up to go pick up his car, which just seems like a crazy idea. And he blew over and he got charged, didn't even appeal the conviction or anything, took it on the chin. But it does kind of pose the question, is that going to cause trouble for us next year? Is this really what we need coming into a new season, Dai?
Look, I had a mate's brother got the old next morning DIC. I think this is a reminder to all people, particularly ACC listeners, who I know enjoy getting on the steam train, that you've got to be careful about that next day. You know, you get home, you have 6 hours sleep, but you're still over the limit. You know, if you've been following G Lane, Mania and Matt Heath and Joe Jury over in France, they're going to be blowing over the legal limit for the next 5 years, I think. So you've got to be careful. Look, I think it was bad judgment, but I don't put too much in this. It would have been different if he got pulled over driving back from Sky City on the night.
100%.
You know? So I think he showed a modicum of intelligence, and if anything, you can't fault two of us, Ashek.
No,
he's a solid guy. And full credit to him for not appealing it or anything and just taking that on the chin.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, because obviously he had to do a bit of research to see if that was going to cause any issues going to Australia, because there is some countries where that is a problem. It doesn't seem to be the case. You just have to fill out a customs form each time, and they have to check your character just to make sure you're a good enough human to go in. And I think that should be the easiest thing that would be ticked off the box for RTS. He's an absolute good human, good man, and if anything, let the good times roll. And in saying that brings us into basically.
Although, just what if they deny him? They let him in all year, then deny him just before the grand final.
Well, that would basically be what happened to SJ at the Dally M's, right? That's basically what happened
exactly.
there. On that though, I guess, you know, looking forward, how are you feeling about next season, mate? You know, like, we had a great one, but what are you seeing coming up for us, for the Warriors?
Okay, so this season was like being on the nangs for 27 weeks, you know? You're on the giggle juice. You're just happy because it's you've been freaked out. We went from 15th to 4th. It was a out of the box season, but that as a building block makes me properly excited. Next season is the first season in a long time I've been honestly excited. The young players have cemented themselves. I'm talking your Rocco Berries. You know, they've cemented themselves. We've got solid wingers again. And you bring in CHT and RTS. For mine, the interesting spot for us, although Pompey actually had probably his best season, the centres are probably the spot that we need someone in. And I also feel we need a big forward.
Just someone to like lift the load a little bit of AFB in a way, eh? Just so we can keep punishing people or just keeping people on the back foot, eh?
Yeah, and so AFB doesn't have to always play massive minutes, because we sort of juggle it around between Mitch Barnett in the second row. Then if Murata Niokore comes on, Mitch goes into prop. If we had, you know, I'm even thinking someone like a Royce Hunt or someone like that from Cronulla.
Yeah, we almost just need a grinder in there. We need someone that's gonna play like an honest 30 minutes and that just won't care and just up the guts the whole time. That would be such a huge help, because the biggest thing of the people that you just named is that they're all good for a card. They're all good for a little bit of time off, especially Murata and that as well. Mitch had a bit of a tricky time this year with a few injuries and stuff. So if anything, it'll be like with our 15 halves. We just need a few more people there just to help us out when things get a bit tough, eh?
And So also Wade Egan, he he's not an 80-minute hooker. I'm really worried about the state of his brain because he takes a lot of head knocks. So Bailey Sirenen's left the club. Where's he gone again? Manly? No. The Knights? No, the Dragons, sorry. Bailey Sirenen's gone to the Dragons. So we've got Freddie Lussick, but Freddie's got better and better, but the best thing about Sirenen covering Egan is he also is a back rower. I think we're pretty stacked in the backs now with CHT coming back. Seeing how he fits into the side is going to be very interesting. The halves were pretty well covered with Volkman and Metcalf and Tamari Martin and SJ, of course. I love our interchange with Curran, Tavanga and Dylan Walker. Niokore, Jackson Ford, Tohu Harris, all great players, Barnett, Adam Whanua-Blake. So we're pretty sussed. I think we're going to have to hit the ground running. For me, where the Warriors went so well is we won a good portion of games in that first 10, which sets you up, because often we get off to a bad start. And if you just can bank those wins. And granted, you've got to remember this year we had our last 10 games, we had a pretty sweet run into the finals.
Correct. But then that also means as well as prior to that, we won quite a few tough games. So I think, if we could just get them just a little bit more evened out, that would have been so much more favourable into that run home. Imagine if in those final weeks we played the Broncos or anyone like that where we could have really, really knuckled out even if it was a tough loss, it would have been that experience that we needed going into the finals, because you could see that by the time the Broncos and the Panthers were there, they knew what they were in for, and they were revved up for it. And it's almost like that's that experience we got this year, and hopefully that's what we can bring into next year. That could be, like you're saying, like building blocks, right?
And Mount Smart is established as a fortress.
Oh, as a what?
I think we need to play around less. We need to maybe not do these Napier games in Wellington, Hamilton or whatever. Granted, New Zealand loves their rugby league, but we've got to win, and Mount Smart is our fortress. We need to keep rewarding the fans who show up. I'm very confident of a top 8 finish, and I think we deserve to be fighting for the top 4 again, and I'm completely excited about next year. I can't believe that this year we managed to get onto the commentary, timing it when the Wars just turned their season around.
Yeah, it could have been a very, very different type of scenario here, where all of a sudden the ACC finally gets unleashed on Sky Sport, and we just have to commentate a whole season absolutely getting spanked week in, week out. It couldn't have been any more perfect. And even on that, what a great experience. And it's been amazing, all the support we've been getting on that as well. How'd you find it, mate? How'd you find getting to commentate and getting amongst? And how was it?
Look, people have been aware of my sort of health journey that I'm on, and this has been just a trip. It's been a dream job. Even being across in Australia and people coming up to me saying how much they love the commentary. A massive crew of ACC guys came in, were sitting in our sort of little area. The ACC, not just the commentators, not just the podcasters. When I say the ACC, I'm referring to the listeners as well. We're such an awesome whānau. Just total care. We're awesome. The vibe that the ACC listeners and watchers bring is so cool. And to be a part of that and to be commentating the game that I love, let alone doing the Mad Monday podcast with you guys, it's a dream come true. And the fact that the Warriors are now honest to God contenders.
Yeah.
I am super excited about 2024.
Yeah, and I think we all should be. For it, I did get a little bit annoyed when everyone was like, you're not a day one supporter, blah, blah, blah. But I think people need to stop discouraging people from jumping on, because there's nothing better than more supporters. There's nothing better than someone who wasn't interested in the game of rugby league getting into it, getting a ticket, getting down. The OGs, the ones that have always been there, amazing. You know, the stalwarts always good, but we need everyone there. You know, you don't fill out that stadium with 100% full-time supporters, do you?
Look, I completely agree. I've never been one for gatekeeping music or whatever you're into. Open it up, man. Awesome that you've been there from day one, but awesome that people get on board. We just want people loving the Warriors. Look at how good the signs are. Look at how good the vibe is there. It is awesome. So everyone in New Zealand is welcome on the bandwagon. There's plenty of room at the ACC for more listeners and more watchers, and I can't wait to keep doing it next year.
Yeah, and in saying that, when I was traveling back from Singapore, I was wearing an Up the Wires t-shirt, and I was on an Air New Zealand flight, and the host tapped me on the shoulder and he goes, "It's our year next year, brother." I'd forgotten that I was wearing it. I looked down and he's giving me the biggest smile, and I was like, I'm in bloody Singapore and Amanda, and he just walked past and he goes, "Up the Wires." So I was like, it's so amazing. So I guess from here, you know, this will be the end of our season, guys. So it's been an amazing how many weeks now? 26, 28? It's been a long time, right?
Well, it was 27 regular season, then the Warriors 3 more.
So
30 rounds. It's been awesome, and let's do it all again.
Yeah, no, and absolutely. And a big thanks to everyone that joined the Supercoach group. That went really well. There was definitely...
we'll be doing that next year.
100%. And I'm pretty sure the prizes should have gone out, and that was a nicely signed Warriors jersey. And what better time to get a signed Warriors jersey for winning a competition than right now. So, you know, a big thank you to all the listeners. This will be us signing off for this season. And as Dai said, we are not done, and this is not finished. So, if anything, we will see you next year. Any closing words for the whānau here, Dai?
Well, thanks for tuning into the league, and I ain't going anywhere. You'll see me on the upcoming coverage of the Black Caps and the Bangladesh tour over here, and all our thoughts are with the Black Caps to keep going after a smashing England, and enjoy your international rugby league. There's a bit of that coming up over the next few weeks, so keep tuned to that. Keep tuned to the ACC. Love you all, and we'll see you next year.
Yeah, just another World Cup, and here we go.
An Australia without